because you've moved up. And about 3 years ago, and I made it clear that the perception, our rating at the Corruption Perception Index was going to drop. It was inevitable. It is also about perception, it's about the body language of the government, and it's about the practical realities of what is obtainable in the country. So what we are experiencing now is not just happening, it's been things that were designed by both the current government and also personalities that are involved in governance to lead us to this stage.
Really?
Yeah, and you can, when we were saying it locally, it wasn't taken serious because, well, it was like, oh, these are just critics who don't really see things that are good in government. And interestingly, when Madam Hillary Clinton came to Nigeria, she made that clearly to Nigerians and even to the Nigerian government that the anti-corruption fight has lost steam in Nigeria.
What about now, especially if you juxtapose it with the comment of the president who says he will not intervene in institutions running their natural course?
Well, that is most unfortunate for us because we need to see his intervention.
Really?
Yes, we need to see his intervention.
Isn't that the one that will be unfortunate because you'll be setting it back?
No, that's what I'm saying. The intervention must be that he must lead by example. First and foremost is his own personal declaration of his asset, which Nigerians don't have. And that would have also filtered down from himself as the president to the ministers, to the civil servant. But we don't have that. So that's why I said we need to see his intervention, which is to be leading by example. Also, is the emergence of the people, the credibility, the character, the pedigree, and the antecedents of people that are going to lead anti-corruption crusade. You were saying you are not going to intervene. The current person that was just being screened and appointed for the ICPC is a card-carrying member of PDP. And that we have said. And this was just
you've highlighted this.
We have strong before now. And that, unfortunately, goes to also tell you that it's a different thing for you to be saying, I'm preaching something and practicing something completely different. You need to live and walk your talk. You need to lead by example for people to see. And when we're talking about the corruption thing, that's why I said it is about perception. And then when we want to move, I think it is part of the concern from the National Assembly, the House of Representatives to be precise, out of that concern for the rate at which the corruption fight and crusade in Nigeria is completely moribund. It's completely lost steam, not losing steam, no, lost steam.
How do we deal with that?
That confusion, that concern has led them to now a confusion. The confusion in the sense that they are now talking about a retired Supreme Court judge or an appeal court judge. No. Corruption fight, it is not about adjudication. It's about investigation. And we need people who have the basic knowledge, the least, as we can either consider, basic knowledge of investigation.
Perhaps you dissect it for us. The criticisms and the commentary coming from everywhere, especially the move by the National Assembly, is it operational based or institutional based?
Well, as far as it is now, we have enabling laws that can assist any anti-corruption, sincere, committed, and focused anti-corruption institution to operate, institutional-wise. Now, when we're looking at about the operational base, also the challenge is that we need to also review the laws to assist in ensuring that the emergence of people that will lead the institutions are not just government appointees. It is something that needs to actually be advertised, and people, individuals, who have records of this pedigree that is required to occupy the space. We need situations where people either with the National Assembly, the civil society, the media, can actually be part of the process of appointing people who will head. And also the board. Unfortunately, that is what we have with the current one. There's a board that is not functional. Unfortunately, there must also be a functional board, which would allow for the labor, the civil society, the media, to appoint people there who can have as oversight function for the institution. So within the institutions, there can be a functional board that will check the excesses, as opposed to where it is the politicians, the office of the CBN, the office of the Inspector General, the office of the Attorney General. These are still the same government circle that moves. So when we're talking about the judges, we have the experience where you can say good one with ICPC, when you had Justice Mustafa Akombi as the ICPC chairman, and then you can see the ICPC. When we had the successor to Justice Akombi. It was a complete comatose for ICPC. A complete comatose, and it's yet to recover from that.
Suraj, let me come in here. Now you're talking about judges again. Let's also look at that case she mentioned. I'm quite sure you listened to Farida Waziri when she talked about the Bode George judge's case, and she did say the particular judge that sat on that case, well, has somehow gone under because of fear of him actually sending some other persons to jail. They say, well, no other case, high-profile case, is assigned to him since after that moment. So, what do you have to say on
I think
about that?
I listened to that comment, and I felt sorry for that young man who was bold enough. Unfortunately, ICPC did not really help the matter, and that is why we got to that issue of the plea bargaining with Igbinedo. The proceed of crime that Madam Farida mentioned, it is not about just plea bargaining. The first and foremost, we had a situation with Tafa Balogun, we had with Alamaisia. The first and foremost step is the forfeiture of the proceeds of crime. So it is not the criminal that determines what is going to release. You have evidence to show that these are proceeds of crime, and then the EFCC have the power to go to the court, or the mandate to go to the court, to actually ask the court.
Remember, the AGF has a role there too.
No, that is part of it. That is when it gets to the criminal stage. That is when it gets to court. That is when it gets to... The first and foremost is that there must be a process of forfeiture for the process of crime. So let us now see that EFCC is doing that. And then the world and public can see that is the AGF that is trying to return the process of crime to the people. Now, going to the judges, it is rather unfortunate, because when you listen to the judge actually himself, you would see that they made it clear, and also the proof of evidence and the rest of that it was a badly handled case from the part of the EFCC. A very bad... The man just went out of his way in practicing what we call the judicial activism of saying, if these are the issues, then this is where you have to go. And that is why you can see when she was talking about politically exposed person serving 5 years, and then ordinary innocent, well, sometimes, okay, let me not say innocent, criminals serving 15 and 20 years. It is the kind of charges that you bring to the court. You can't bring a charge against a politically exposed person that carries a maximum of 1 year, and you're expecting the court to go and sentence them to 10 years.
Those SANs don't do a good job.
No. It is the EFCC that goes there. It is the ones that goes with the charges.
They are counsel, they are the lawyers. So they are all the same.
Who employs the lawyer? It is the EFCC. You don't recommend the lawyers to them.
Shouldn't we be looking at the fact that, I mean, if the judge who gives a verdict on the matter is demoted, don't you think that, look, no matter who comes in to head that position... I will tell you, that's why I was talking about, that's what I was telling you about the perception issue. When Tafa Balogun was actually handled in this country, when Alamaisia was handled in this country, the judges didn't suffer demotion. It is because it is not only corruption fighting back. Nobody is even fighting corruption now, because it becomes very easy for you. The process of demotion for EFCC,